Our men. The Parker Watch Company and its dealers throughout America dedicate this program to the United States Treasury Department for the sale of war bonds. With Tallulah Bankhead as our special guest today, we proudly present the sixth in this new series of dramatic programs, These Are Our Men. In the fight for total victory, these are our men. King, Vandergrift, Eisenhower, Nimitz, MacArthur, Arnold, Wainwright, Halsey, Patton, Bradley. Today, it's the story of General Jonathan Mayhew Wainwright. General Wainwright's story in just a moment. But first, a word of hello from an enthusiastic Wainwright admirer and an enthusiastic sales lady for Uncle Sam's Treasury. The lady from Alabama, Tallulah Bankhead.
Thank you. Yes, I'm an admirer of Skinny Wainwright, and I'll bet every one of you listening in will join the ranks, too, when you've heard this story. See if I'm not right. As for me, well, I'll be back later.
We'll be waiting, Tallulah. And before we proceed, ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder. I have an important message for you, but it'll come later on in our program, so listen for it. I promise you'll be happy you did. Right now, we give you the story of another of our men. My name is Dooley, Major John Dooley, and I have a story to tell. It is April 9th, 1942, and Bataan is a bog of blood trickling down to Manila Bay. It's over. The Japs are standing on Bataan and yelling aloud, Banzai. But as yet, there are no Banzais on the rock, Corregidor. Just a little less than a month later, May 6th, 1942, Private Irving Strobing of Brooklyn, New York, pounds a message from Corregidor. And his fingernails have no moons, for his body has known no food.
They're not near yet. We're waiting for God only knows what. How about a chocolate sundae, huh? Lots of heavy fighting going on. We've only got about 1 hour and 20 minutes before it. I have to give up before noon. We don't know yet. They've been shelling us faster than you can count. I feel sick in my stomach. I'm really low down.
In that small tent over there sits our general, our man. Tall and lean, the lines in his face are like furrows in a field. His hair is close-cropped and gray, his body weak from beriberi, and a cane leaning against the desk helps his aching right leg when he walks. There are 2 pictures in ragged frames on his desk. One of his wife, Adele, the other of himself on a polo pony. Now there's nothing left but memories. I can see all this as I enter the tent.
Sir. Oh, come in, Major.
Thank you, sir.
You look a little tired, son.
You, too. I may say so, sir. You don't.
Yes. Yes, I know. It's taken me the last few nights to prepare for the moving. Always disliked breaking a lease. How are the men taking it?
They're crying. I've never seen men cry before.
Oh, all of us are children. We grow a beard and put on long pants, but underneath it all, I guess we're still in knee breeches. I've tried to cry, but nothing happened.
I came in to ask you about food, sir. It's been 2 days since you've eaten. The men know you've been giving your share to them. Now they say they won't.
You make me sound very altruistic, Major. I'm not.
Can't you forget?
Oh, but Jack was my horse? No. Besides, look at me. Skinny. Skinny Wainwright. That's what the boys call me. Well, I am. And a little horse meat isn't going to make any difference. Anyway, the Japanese ought to have plenty of sukiyaki for us in a little while.
I'll be going, Vincent.
Thanks anyway, son.
Here we are, surrounded with dead men. He won't eat because his horse, Jack, is the menu today. I shouldn't have asked him because Skinny Wainwright was always that way.
Oh, give me a home.
You hear that? One of his favorite songs. It means open fields with the wind in your face, a galloping horse, the sweet smell of a campfire on the plain. He had many of those days back when he was a major, stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas.
Oh, bury me not on the lone prairie.
Wainwright, I don't think you'll ever make the Metropolitan with your baritone.
Maybe not. There isn't any opera singer with a mount like Jack. I guess that makes us even.
Say, Wainwright, what are you going to do if they assign you to a tank?
Well, hold the reins, I suppose.
It won't be easy for you.
Just as difficult for any cavalryman.
I don't think so. You're more bow-legged than anyone I've ever seen. How are you going to ride a tank with legs like that?
Guess I'll just put a bit in her motor and saddle on the turret and slap her flanks and let her bob.
Skinny Wainwright, old Skinny it is now, got around a lot in the last war. In 1918, he was assigned to the General Staff of the Third Army in the Rhineland. And with him, even there, was Adele, the girl he met when she was 10, the girl he married, the woman who came with him to the Philippines in September 1940.
What's wrong, dear?
Nothing.
Is it because we're leaving home?
No. You're here. I take my home with me.
Jack, why don't you go down and see how he is?
I thought of that before we sailed. He's tucked in fine.
Then what is it? Come on, Jonathan, tell me.
I'm a little disappointed, Adele. There's a war on, and I'm heading off for the other side of the world.
But we aren't fighting.
Not yet. But when it comes, I'll be out of it.
I don't think so, Jonathan.
I'm sorry, Adele. Let's take a walk around deck. Oh, I suppose I'm childish, but there's a war on the way. War I'm probably going to miss. And I don't want to.
The Wainwrights were no strangers to the islands. Skinny's father died in the uprising of 1901 and is buried on Luzon. He died fighting under a general named MacArthur, Arthur MacArthur, whose son is back in the Philippines right now. Soon, the signs were there for all to see. Skinny Wainwright wasn't going to miss his war, and for the first time in 30 years, Adele Wainwright left her husband on foreign soil at his request and went home. Old Skinny was alone, back where he really began his military career. You see, 3 years out of West Point in 1906, Lieutenant Wainwright, U.S. Cavalry, was in the middle of another Moro rebellion.
No, this is suicide, Skinny. This sort of fellow's bad medicine. And you've got a thin neck.
I've never met a smart man who didn't know when he's licked.
Oh, then sort of smart. Huh?
Very smart. He put it over on us for 2 months. If we had a squadron, we'd never have got to his camp.
Your head'll be on the ground before you say one word. Be sensible, Skinny. You hear that racket? Come on, let's go back and bring up men.
No, you wait right here.
Yeah, but-
Oh, those are orders. I'll be back with company.
Crazy cowboy.
Owl. Yeah, this is it.
Hey, Kate! Hey, Kate! Where's Gordo?
Me, Toto.
Lieutenant Wainwright's your service.
Why you come?
I think we ought to have talk.
You brave man. Me have bolo. Wait,
Huh? What are you pointing at?
you come with pistol. Not so brave.
Oh, pistol. Yeah. Well, look. There. Now, do we have talk?
Sort of fight, no talk.
Look, Sordo. I know you haven't any more ammunition. You can't fight us with your bolos. Your whole tribe will be wiped out.
Many warriors gone.
Well, do we talk?
Sort of talk to American man who look like bamboo tree.
Every spring, I used to wait anxiously for the robins to dot the green grass, and they never failed to come. And there's a homeward loyalty in humans, too, as General Jonathan Wainwright discovered 35 years later in 1942, while he was still on Bataan.
Division across the break yet?
I believe so, sir. They said they'd report by radio.
Hey, who are those Filipinos?
There's from Jolo, sir. Just arrived. I didn't want to disturb
Jolo,
you.
huh?
Yes, sir.
How'd they get here?
Their leader apologized, said they'd heard about the war several weeks ago, and that they sailed as fast as they could. He wants to see you.
See me?
I'll refer him to.
Just a moment. Jolo, huh? Bring him over.
Yes, sir. You, Chief.
Right.
The General wants to speak to you.
You are older American, but you still look like bamboo tree.
Bamboo. Sordo, you old devil.
I am older, but my language is better, I think.
Much. But you changed in other ways. Where's the bolo?
Soto has learned that bullets can hurt from far away. That is why we have come. You were right long time ago. Now, my warriors stand with you. They know how to use guns. This time, we no talk. We fight together.
Thank you, Sordo. You're right. This is no time for a big talk.
You can see I like the guy. Maybe you think it's because I was his aide. Okay. Listen to Joe.
I'm just a Joe. There are a couple of million like me, but only a few of us were lucky enough to work under Skinny Wainwright. Right now, he's up in a Jap prison camp. Number 5 it is, at Taihoku on Formosa. Maybe he heard the Navy smashing Formosa a couple of months ago. Maybe he didn't. But he knows there are guys like me coming back for him. Why? Not because he wore some stars on his collar. Skinny was like a father to us in Bataan and on the Rock. He could have sat in his tent all day, and that would have been okay with us. But he didn't. I met him in a kind of funny way. It was in a foxhole. Things were pretty raw.
Hey, soldier. Hey, you not standing up there like a statue? Those Japs ain't cockeyed no matter what it says in the book. Get into a hole. You seem to have the only one within walking distance. Heck, no, not in here. There's no room. I don't think Skinny Wainwright himself could get in here. Well, maybe he could. Let's try anyway. Oh, okay, so you're in.
Now what? This ain't no boarding house.
Oh, I brought my own rifle along.
Oh, ain't that nice? Who asked for help?
Thought there were enough Japs to go around.
Yeah.
Hey,
Huh?
move over a little.
Sure.
This was a swell hole until...
Right. 3 stars. Skinny, I'm having the general, sir. Oh, brother.
Forget it, son.
Well, yes, sir.
General,
Yeah, what is it?
sir, you're not as skinny as, thin as I thought. Could you get your shoulder blade on my back so I can aim this rifle, sir?
Oh, sorry.
There.
Comfortable now?
Yes, sir.
Just like home.
How long you been in this mud hole, son?
Oh, about 5 hours, sir.
Tired?
Kind of.
Why don't you snooze a while? You'll feel better.
I...
Hey, go ahead, orders. You've got a replacement. Come on, go to sleep.
Thanks, sir.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Skinny Wainwright, a soldier's soldier. He wasn't a legend to the Americans and Filipinos on the Rock. He was real. I was more privileged than most because I was one of his aides, and yet nobody envied me because it was hard watching him grow old quickly. Torture to see him drag himself around on a cane. A nightmare when he shook in a malaria attack. I'll always remember April 29th, 1942, exactly 1 week before the end he knew was inevitable. It was the day of 3 letters. Yes, 3 letters.
Come in, son. I've just been sitting here listening and feeling the shake of the guns. Kind of reminds me of drums in a band. That's a bad comparison, isn't it? Hey, Major, you're pulling at that envelope in your hand like it was a rubber band.
Huh? Oh, I almost forgot about it, sir.
Something personal?
No, sir. One of the men, Joe Kwiatkowski of Pittsburgh, asked me to mail it for him.
Got a good sense of humor.
Joe's been carrying this letter around for months. He wrote it before they came. For some reason, he remembered it this morning. It's kind of an obsession with him. I said I'd do my best.
The letter will get to Pittsburgh.
But how?
I've ordered Colonel Jenks, Colonel Clear to Australia. They're leaving tonight. I've got a letter to my wife here. I want them to take along, too. Did you censor Kwiatkowski's letter?
Not yet, sir. I didn't know that it would ever leave here.
Oh, may I?
Of course, sir. I'd better move along. They're expecting me at the Melinda Tunnel.
See what Joe Kwiatkowski has to say. Well, I'm here, Marie, and am I glad? It's a beautiful place, but it's the kind of beauty that's both pleasant and dangerous. Fort Mills is located on an island called Corregidor. It's a lovely place filled with a floral display that would palm trees, coconut trees, thousands of very big bushes of gardenias filled with the scent of them. Orchids bloom every native flower. I wish you could see them. I know that you give my love to all and tell my doing best. I didn't hear you come in, Doctor.
I beg your pardon, sir. I'm under a... There it is.
That came to crying. Of jungle flowers and a cloying in endless rows.
Gentlemen, know the situation. For real defense to be organized. Time for the event. That's why General MacArthur, Corregidor, is the cork in the... While it holds, they're stopped.
Oh, that discretion is the better part of that.
Not when your country's throat is in a buck and a Japanese sword ready to cut it. And stood at Thermopylae, died there, but... Oh, I dislike dramatics. This is Thermopylae for America. Yes, we too can be disgruntled, but only the last shell's been fired.
The real reason for this leave, General, is to ask you to leave on the submarine tonight. That's right.
No. I've been with my men from the start. We've been through so much together that my conscience will not let me leave. Gentlemen, I'm staying.
I was alone with him when he read the second. I was alone with him when he read. He never saw me.
I have been to war, but at the same time, the tremendous responsibility now. But that is of preventing a hostile landing in force. But I will do my best and hope I will not fail.
The third letter came at 4. From General Yamashita.
Here it is, sir.
Ah, fancy, too. A can with a red ribbon. Uh-huh. Personal note from Yamashita. I'm expecting something like this. Here, son, you take it.
But aren't you going to read it, sir?
No, Sanders. We cannot surrender.
I've got the daily reports, sir.
Read it.
Chief Surgeon reports the last quinine administered yesterday, sir. Morphine dosage reduced below required minimum. Food rations will expire within 3 days. Last reserve of ammunition has been issued to the troops. With controlled firing, it should be enough for a week at the most. Enemy concentrations are reported along the coast. Shells are hitting...
Wait a minute. Read that again.
Shells are...
No. About our ammunition supply.
With controlled firing, it should be enough for a week at least.
7 days. Major, give this message to the radio man.
Yes, sir.
Tell Washington I have received a request from General Yamashita for the surrender of Corregidor. Tell them that the offer is very inviting. But tell them that I'm ignoring it.
But he knew the final outcome. The sands were running out for us. The days passed slowly. We were giving the world time. Most of the troops were so weak they couldn't leave their gun positions. 3 miles away across the bay, infested with sharks, the Jap guns erupted like a flaming necklace along the beach. There was a song popular from Bataan, and we sang it without bitterness. We never changed the lyrics.
We're the orphans of Bataan. No mama, no papa, no Uncle Sam. We swear and we fight, and we're left alone at night. The Japs, they dance and yell as we send them all to hell.
And old Skinny kept asking,
How much?
enough shells for 5 days, sir.
No papa, no.
Anything left, Major?
4 days, sir.
Swear and we fight, and we're
Why isn't number one firing?
They've used up their last, sir.
as we send them all to hell.
We need every hour. Fire only when a definite target appears. Ask them to hold.
No Uncle Sam.
They bring in the wounded every minute. It's a horrible sight. We will be waiting for you guys to help. Corregidor used to be a nice place. It's haunted now. Everyone is falling like a baby. I'm vomiting. I know now how Mouse feels caught in a trap waiting for guys to come along. General Wainwright is the right guy.
All right, son. It's all right. We can't fight with empty guns. We did somehow, didn't we? Now ask him to run up the white flag. The cork is out.
Thank you, Ted Jewett, for your impersonation of General Wainwright. And thank you, Stotts Cotsworth, for another fine job of narration. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's that gal again, one of the brightest stars of Broadway, Hollywood, and Radio Row, Tallulah Bankhead.
Once again, thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the story of a brave man. Skinny Wainwright is today a prisoner of the Japs. And I'm pretty sure what his Jap jailers will tell him if ever he asks about us at home. They'll tell him that the American people are sick of the war. They'll tell him that we don't care anymore. And they'll seek to prove it by telling him that the only time we buy bonds is when a great big pressure campaign is waged, when we are shamed into it. Yes, the Japs will tell such stories as that to Skinny Wainwright. Wainwright, I'm sure, will never believe them, for you've heard he has a supreme faith in us, the people of his native land. He won't have any way of checking the truth of those Jap stories, of course, until he comes back home. But he will come back home someday. And I find myself thinking that it would be a grand thing to be able to say to him, Skinny, those stories the Japs told you while you were in prison camp, those stories in which they tried to break your morale by telling you that the American people didn't care, they weren't true, Skinny. They weren't true. We bought bonds all the time, every payday. And what's more, we held on to them. It would be nice to say that to Skinny Wainwright when he comes home, wouldn't it? Well, I'll leave it up to you.
Thank you, Tallulah Bankhead. These Are Our Men, featuring today the dramatized story of General Jonathan M. Wainwright, with Tallulah Bankhead as our special guest, is presented each Saturday by the Parker Watch Company and its dealers throughout America, but not to sell watches. What we ask you to buy is war bonds. Now, the message I promised you at the start of the program. The message is this. 3 weeks ago, we announced that the Parker Watch Company was preparing a beautiful book portfolio, a wonderful booklet in brilliant colors with the pictures and biographies of all the great American war leaders being dramatized on this series of programs. And in combination with it, a portfolio for the safekeeping of your war bonds, as well as a handy chart for recording the serial numbers of your bonds. We offered this ingeniously designed kit for the mailing and wrapping cost of 10 cents, and your response was terrific. So terrific that it delayed us in getting the kits out of the printers. Well, we're ready to take care of any and all comers now. So for your copy, send 10 cents to cover cost of mailing and wrapping. Address your request to the Parker Watch Company, Post Office Box 14, New York 19, New York. Write today, enclose 10 cents in coin only, and mail to the Parker Watch Company, Post Office Box 14, New York 19, New York, for your copy of our combination book portfolio entitled These Are Our Men. Next week, These Are Our Men will bring you the story of another of our great leaders, with Gene Hersholt as our special guest. So be sure to tune in. Same time, same station. Our music was composed and conducted by Joseph Chernyavsky, and the entire production was under the direction of Anton M. Leader. These Are Our Men is recorded by the Office of War Information for shortwave rebroadcast to foreign countries. Don't forget now, for your copy of our new combination book portfolio entitled These Are Our Men, send 10 cents in coin only to the Parker Watch Company, Post Office Box 14, New York 19, New York. This is Jack Costello speaking.